Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Overcomers Talk. We're excited to present to you a great panel tonight who will give you some tools and tips on how to do your financial planning and overcoming debt in our next year. We're going to be giving you some strategies that we think will be very helpful and that hopefully you can easily apply to reach your financial goals. So stay tuned, don't go away, we'll be right back.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Overcomers Talk. My name is Dr. Sharita McQueen, and tonight our topic is financial planning and overcoming debt. Tonight, my beautiful co-host is
Minister Damietta Jeffries.
Yes, thank you for being here with me. We are filling in for Minister Carrie Ann Frazier. We'd also like to give honor to the visionaries of Overcomers Talk, as well as our pastors, Dr. Lincoln Coffee and Pastor April Coffee. Tonight, we have some phenomenal entrepreneurs and professionals in their craft. We have some business planners, financial planners, business advisors. We have realtors on this panel with us tonight, and I'd like to introduce you to them. So first, I'm going to start with Ms. Arica Price.
Yes, ma'am.
Please introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about what it is you do.
Well, thank you for having me, first and foremost. And as Dr. McQueen just said, my name is Arica Price, and I am the realtor that she spoke about. I am with the Real Estate Home Team. I've been with that brokerage for 1.5 years, which is exactly the amount of time that I've also been a realtor.
Awesome, awesome. So next we have, you guys know who this is. This is our this is our very own, Open Fire's very own Minister Richard Bruce. Now he's a phenomenal financial planner and entrepreneur. So Minister Bruce, tell us a little bit about what it is you do.
Yes, ma'am. My name, again, Richard Bruce. I serve as president and CEO of a company, a logistics company called Appointed Worldwide Holdings, LLC. I've been a licensed financial advisor for years now, since about 1997, so over 20 years. Series 6 and 63 licensed to deal with mutual funds, IRAs, retirement plans, things of that nature. So I've been in the business helping military, civilian, and we want to help you get your finances squared away.
That's right. Awesome. Next, we have Miss Sharon Watkins.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself and tell the people who you are.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sharon Watkins. I own Family First Credit Repair Services here in Killeen, Texas. We operate all nationally, so all across the globe. We're not just homed here. We've been in business for about 1 year now. I've been doing repair for about 4 to 5 years. I started, with myself and my family, which is why it's called Family First. And we definitely put a pride on having, family and everything like that. And so we offer credit repair services for both personal and business lines of credit.
Awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
This is going to be a conversation that I'm so excited for. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm excited for. Whenever we talk about managing money and securing wealth for the next generation, that's something that I'm always interested in. So, but I want to, before we even start coming up with strategies, I want to talk about personal finances in the church. Why is it taboo? Why is that taboo? A lot of churches won't speak on personal finances in the context of building wealth. You may hear about when it comes to tithe and offering, a lot of people, feel as if you'll hear about tithes and offering. Right. But when it comes to personal finances and building wealth for the next generation, why is that not widely taught throughout the churches?
I think it's because people are just embarrassed. I mean, for the most part, most people are putting on a facade. And because they've put on a facade, they want people to think they got it all together. But the truth is, most of us don't have it all together. I mean, when we go to school to make good grades, to get a good job, to work for somebody else. They don't teach us to work for ourselves and about finances. And you almost wonder, why don't they teach us more about finances in school? We get education, we get these loans to further our education, but they don't tell us anything about finances. So we have people that have prestigious degrees and accolades that unfortunately just don't know enough about finances and how to maintain their finances to be successful. So it's a little embarrassing for most people when it comes to the church. And for that matter, most people don't know where to start. They don't have anybody raising their hand that says they're going to pick up the mantle and try to help the people, the kingdom, get financially squared away. And so I think
talking about money in the church taboo?
Yes, I believe that talking about money in the church is very taboo. And again, because it's taboo anywhere. People kind of want to know, why are you worrying about what's in my pocket, for better lack of words? But the truth is if you're not getting your finances squared away, then you're making a big mistake, because most problems come from finances. I mean, when you think about it, if you have a problem, an argument, or something like that with your spouse at home, it normally derives from finances, and so that's usually stems the
To
a bunch of
piggyback
problems.
on what Bruce just said, I don't know what facade you're speaking of. Okay, even though I bought this hair, it's my hair. Okay, no, but just to piggyback what he's saying, I think what happens is it's taboo because culturally we're not taught finances. And I'm just putting that on out there. I know that this is a broadcast for everyone, but in our culture, that is something that I feel is a hindrance. We don't speak openly about financial freedom in our culture, and if we do, it's derived from wanting a certain item. I want to buy a car. I want to buy this certain house. I want to buy this outfit. I'm saving for this whatever. It's not derived from wanting a long-term goal of financial freedom. And I can personally say I have a father who was a frugal man. And so he made sure that we understood the value of a dollar. However, I have plenty of friends that we were all at the same age and making the same, growth as far as our careers, but we all had different things to show for it because they were not taught how to budget. And that's not something that I feel like culturally is one of our strengths. We teach our kids how to do a lot of other things and how to get ahead in other ways. But unfortunately, I feel like that's one where we lack.
I totally agree. And I feel that as Christians, a lot of time we take the scripture, money is the root of all evil. But that's not what it says. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. We have to have money.
Well, because the scripture also says money answers all things.
Yes.
So that the money does answer things in your life. But I will agree with Ms. Price, where she says sometimes we're just not taught. I can remember even in my younger years going to college and accumulating massive amount of debt because I was not taught. I was taught I should go to college, and when I got on that campus, they had tables of all these credit cards waiting to lure me in, and because I had not been taught the value of a dollar, I didn't understand that the credit card wasn't free money, that there was going to be a penalty. I wasn't taught about interest and penalties and late fees. And so I mishandled, and it took me years to come out of that simply because I went in uneducated. So I will agree that, we don't have it. And then you need credit repair, which is what, Ms. Watkins does for us.
I think it's called credit rescue personally. But
well, it kind of is, So just to piggyback off of what you're saying, and that is the biggest thing with the schools. My day job, my 9 to 5, I actually am the loan officer here at Central Texas College. That means I'm over the loan department there. And I love what we do there because part of my job is I get to educate them about responsible borrowing, understanding, at one point in time, schools were not doing that. They were not putting that education piece in to let you know about your financial responsibility that you may be taking on at this time and how it may affect you years down the line. But you hear a lot of times people say student loans are nothing but a scam. Sad that it helps you, but then it kind of cripples you as well. And that's another thing that is big in the world while people are not ahead on the financial curve is because they did spend all that time taking out student loans. And then you have to fight so hard to get out of that debt that you incurred. But,
I'm thinking if we had it our way, when should we start teaching our children, or when should we have been taught how to manage money, how to handle credit, and things like that? When should we have been taught that?
I'd say as soon as a child is able to go to preschool, that's when you start. You have the fake money. That's a good education tool right there. I have $3. If I give you 2 more, how much is that going to be? You save this next week. Let's add more to that. What do you have now? What are you able to buy? Just incorporating those little things into play at a child of at the age of 4 is beneficial to it. I think it's more beneficial for us, to give them that education piece, teaching them about credit. I think that should come by middle school. Go ahead and add your child because the lowest age is 13 to add your child as an authorized user on your account. So once you do that doesn't necessarily mean you have to give them a credit card. Adding them as an authorized user just meaning you're attaching them to your credit profile.
So does it build their credit?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It is a tool.
And me and Sharon were actually talking about this when we were talking earlier because I was saying my son is an authorized user on 3 of my cards. Now, he doesn't know that, but he is. and he's 16. And the thing is, it's like you were saying to me, middle school, I said the age of 10. 10 is like the round number for me. I feel like that's the age where we start giving a lot of responsibilities. And I associate responsibilities with cash flow because that's what it is. And I tell my son, I am a single mom. You know, everybody in this house earns the right to live here, which means you too. So everything is handled through cash flow. And so how much do you want to make this week? Okay, so what chores are you going to get done? And then if you want that video game, you need to calculate how much you need to save. You still need to tithe. You need to figure out exactly how you're going to negotiate your money in order to get it. Include tax, because I'm not paying that. So, yeah.
Now, we're talking about families that we're from, the families that we're from.
Absolutely.
Now, help me understand, how would a more affluent family teach their child about financial planning?
Define affluent.
Right.
I would have to say that, define affluent.
Wealthy.
So I guess for me, when I say that, it's like my parents now live in a $750,000 house, but I didn't grow up like that. So the parents that they are now and the stuff that they tell my kids, they didn't tell me. My dad was like, don't spend nothing. That was the end of it. If it's more than $1, we got to talk about it. You know, that was how I grew up. Now the grandkids have a trust fund. So the conversation is a lot different. I don't know what is going to happen as they get older because I'm struggling with my 16-year-old. Telling him no, he works for me. My son is my transaction coordinator, so he actually works for me. And so he knows what I make. That's a problem. That is a major problem because when I say no, he says, but Mom, you got the money. And then I have to say, hey, just because I have it doesn't mean you have it. So I mean, what do you, I wouldn't know how to go about that.
I think it goes more into his specialty, setting up those trusts, setting up, you know, retirement, because if you're already born into wealth, you don't have to so much overcome, you know, it's so much about setting yourself up for your future and making sure that you're responsible before you get this extreme amount of money to where you just spend irresponsibly. So I think that's a piece of it. And then a lot of times what they do in the wealthier families, you see them with their credit line at a young age. They have a credit card and they have to stay below a limit, you know.
They establish early.
Yeah,
they establish early. So truth be told, that they're teaching their kids at a younger age. They're teaching them about finances, about maybe an allowance. And so that allowance is a trigger or a vice to say, this is your paycheck. And you have to manage that paycheck. And so believe it or not, affluent families are teaching their kids from a younger age. And maybe some other families don't have the resources to give allowance or things to make them start being accountable for it. So we feel bad because we're not able to give the allowance. So we just give them the item instead of making them be accountable and measure that reward with your paycheck or your allowance or whatever you're giving it to them for. So it becomes now that they're now using their efforts to get it versus them just getting it and just getting, and you giving. They're now paying for it or earning it. And because they're earning it, they understand money a little bit better. And because they understand money a little bit better, it helps them throughout life. They're not behind the power curve. By the time we find out about finances, like I said, we're already incurred so much debt, especially if you've been to college and you had to get those student loans on your own. On your own merit. Now you're accountable for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 before you can get a $100,000 job. That even though that degree may satisfy that type of income or salary, you're not there yet, and you're competing against other people. So you find a lot of people that have a degree and they're not making the income that degree was projected to make, and so they get discouraged. And because they get discouraged, now things are falling behind. They're not making the money they want to make, and they overextend themselves by living above their means. And so because we try to compete with the Joneses, we live above our means. And since we live above our means, we now got ourselves in even more debt by not only do I have this student loan, but I also have a car. And it's okay, if you need a car, that's fine, but you don't need a Cadillac. If you need a house, that's fine, but you don't need to buy a $500,000 house.
It's a saying that goes that we say, I'd rather own a 1994 Honda Accord than pay on a 2020 Benz. There you go. You know, and a lot of people, that goes above a lot of people's head. But it's ownership. I don't mind sacrificing because in the long run, it's going to be well worth it. You know, I am going to see that financial freedom. And a lot of time when we say financial freedom, a lot of people get it, oh, well, yeah, I have money in the bank. But financial freedom is it's more than money. It's your credit. It's your future. When can you retire? What do you have in place for your retirement plan? You know, what do your kids have in place? Do you have any trust for them? You know, what do you have set up? That's financial freedom, is when you're encircled in the whole and you have every nook and cranny covered, you know, from your house, real estate to, because your property can be passed down. That is
Right.
also an asset.
Right.
Yes.
So that's
I
And
think
glad
with
you
kids,
mentioned, I'm
I'm
glad you
sorry.
mentioned sacrifice, because I think a lot of times the upcoming generations, they don't understand the sacrifices that we made
Absolutely.
previously
Right.
for them to be awarded the things that they have now.
Yes.
You know, because I know I have teenagers, and you know, I think
Right.
they literally think that I'm an ATM.
Oh, my
You
goodness.
know, they do. They think I can just, you know,
Yeah.
pull
Right.
money out of my ears. And I always have to tell them, no, it's not like that. You
Yes.
know, you have to earn it, or I have to earn it, or I don't have it. You know, but that's kind of hard for them to understand. Now, I taught my children when they were pretty young, we
Right.
had a bank account, and,
Yeah.
you know, so the problem is not that they don't value money. The problem is that they don't value my money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
They
is.
value
Yes.
theirs.
They value theirs.
And they hold on to it.
They
Yes,
hold on
they
to
do.
theirs.
Yes,
they do.
They don't value mine.
Yeah,
Yes.
they do.
Yes.
They really
It's
do.
like a
Yeah.
never-ending flow. They think that
Right.
it's going to, you know, just be there and
Yes.
be there and be there.
Absolutely. You go to the store and it's like, well, mommy, I want that, but they expect my money to come out.
Mhm.
Even
Yes.
though now, sir, I thought that we talked about this, and they. I had to say this, Bruce, keeping up with the Joneses. We were living in Round Rock, and at that time, it culturally wasn't many of us in the area we
Right.
were living in. And so we were in the store, and I had already told my son, you know, there's some things mommy can't afford. Single moms, I don't, you know, for you guys watching, we the struggle is real sometimes,
right.
okay? And so I'm telling him, hey, mommy can't afford some things. Not that I don't want you to have it. So let's just say not right now. You know, right now I just can't afford it. So I talked about it. So we're good. We're in the store. We're just walking around, and you know, and he's like, oh, mom, I really, really want this. And it's a whole group of people around us. And he goes, and I goes, Dewan, no, we really can't have that. And he goes, oh, that's right. You can't afford
Oh,
it.
goodness.
Now, mind you, he was literally probably about 7. So
Right.
it wasn't a malicious intent.
Right.
But these people were looking at
Right.
me like I'm
Yes.
this poor. I was like, just put it in the bucket. You know, put it in the bucket. You know, and I
Exactly.
didn't, I know I was guilty of trying to
Right.
keep up. I know that. That's why I said that. Literally, I was trying to keep up with the Joneses at that moment because I
Okay.
really could not afford that item at that time. I knew I was
Wow.
going to have to move something to get it. But it is almost an innate thing
Right.
to where you don't want to feel less than.
Yes.
You know, you don't want to feel beneath, lower than. You
You know
know,
where it
Yeah.
comes from too? It comes from way back when it was seen as more of the Caucasian race was more the predominant, right?
Absolutely.
And then as black people became wealthy and started moving into that, that's where Keeping Up with the Joneses came from, because it's like now we are able to, and so they're trying to, you know, fight and do that. But what you don't realize about the Joneses over there is they're not really living off of money that they have in the bank. They're living off of credit.
they are.
A lot of times they make it, they're leasing vehicles.
I
They
was
don't
about to say, they
own-
lease. They lease a lot. Yeah.
You know, their credit scores are like 850, 900, black cards, you know, unlimited credit amounts, because they are really utilizing that credit piece of life to get whatever they want
Leverage.
in life. Yes, to leverage
But
them
then,
in a better position.
I want to speak on what she was
It's an
saying too,
illusion.
though. Do we sometimes have these financial struggles? Because as you mentioned, sometimes we're ashamed to say, I don't have it. And so even within our own family, to our own children, we're embarrassed to tell our own children the truth about finances, because out of our own fear of being exposed or our own fear of being less than, which means if we're going to teach our children to be more responsible, then there may be a level of honesty and healing or training that we need to go through so that we can be authentic with our children. Because if they mimic what we did, then that generation of debt keeps going instead of a generation of wealth accumulation. So sometimes and I know we've come from the culture where, you know, kids stay in the kids'
Right.
business. You understand? You don't need to know.
Yeah.
But at some point, we have to have some real conversations about money
That's right.
and admit, like with my children, I'm very transparent that I made quite a few mistakes with money.
Yes.
I did. But I have to be the example
Right.
to show them. So
Right.
that means I have to be a little bit vulnerable with them, right?
Absolutely.
So do we think that sometimes that may be a hindrance too, that as parents, we're embarrassed to admit our mistakes with money?
Yeah.
Because not only are we keeping up with the Joneses, but we're embarrassed even in front of our own
Big time.
children.
But
And
wait,
not
I'm
just
not-
even just
I'm
our
not
children,
keeping
our
up with the
parents
Joneses.
too.
Me neither.
Our parents
Yeah.
too.
Me neither.
It's
But
not
even
just
our
our
parents,
children.
right.
I know for a fact, I don't know if y'all ever went through this, but to borrow money from a bank, they don't ask no questions except for what you make and how you're going to pay it back, right?
Yes.
To borrow money from your parents is a whole nother conversation,
yes.
even as a grown up.
yes.
So it's not just embarrassment to my kids, it's embarrassment to my parents to say, I don't. is there any way that possibly, you know what I mean, I can get this? But just like we talk about how the Bible refers to, money being rude to people, not knowing that properly, Proverbs says use wisdom in all things. We have to calculate our moves and use wisdom in them in order to elevate. We can't sit there and worry about what everybody else is saying to you and about you and around you, because they're not the ones driving that vehicle. They're not the ones that have to pay the repairs. That Honda, you know how quick you can get that thing repaired? I promise you. You tune up your Mercedes one time, it'll change your whole life. Tune up your Mercedes one time, it'll change your whole life.
And that's what I'm saying. Almost, what your down payment would have been for the Mercedes to get it repaired, you know. And it's crazy that is the stipulation that's on life. We put more value possession into instead of, being a little bit more transparent with our kids and giving them the reality of life. I am one of those parents who are as transparent as can be with my kids, to the point where even this holiday season, we're not buying gifts for our home. What we are doing is going out and we're giving to people who do not have a family, because my kids have spent this year not being their best that they could be, But I am one of those parents who I feel like I told y'all feel entitled a little bit, y'all feel a little too entitled, and that may be my fault, because I do, we may have a way, but it's that self-check, into how to give them the reality of what the world is around them. And I think I agree with you 100%.
It's your humility, it's your humility, and that's what they're seeing, and it's beautiful, because a lot of parents don't have the courage to do what you're doing. To say no to Christmas, I mean, it's a lesson. It's hard,
and it comes from what she's saying, being that transparent.
Exactly.
Like, we may have it, letting you know, we may have this, but guess what? It doesn't mean you're entitled to it. You're going to still learn what it means to value and work. And
I know from my upbringing, I can say we didn't have much, but once I became an adult and once I had children, in my mind, I'm thinking, I will never allow my children to experience the things that I experienced.
And that's part of it.
And that's part of the problem.
And that's why
it's guilt.
It is. I want them to have more than I had.
Right. It's part of the problem. And so I can admit that I used to overdo it with my children a lot. I've come back a little bit, some people don't think so.
Yes.
I overcompensated for the things that I didn't have. So there were times where we would go on vacations and I would buy all these things because I wanted it when I was a child. Not even that they wanted it, and they're looking at me like, I don't want to go. But I wanted to go.
We're going to Disney World.
Right. When I was a kid, I saw the commercials for Disney World, and I knew that my mom could not afford a trip to Disney World. So when I started having children, I think we went to Disney World probably about 10 times.
You see?
And they're like, I'm tired of this. But I think for me, like you were saying, it was fulfilling something in me, and it spoiled them.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it spoiled them.
But that's beautiful that you can say that out loud and you know it. A lot of people don't do a self-check, just like she said. They don't. It's like you can look at them and say, do you see the error in what you're doing? It's not, even as a friend, and we don't check our friends enough. We got to get better about that. We don't check our brothers and sisters in Christ enough either. And so because of that, we're sitting there like, come on, you're kind of in the same, you talked about her, but that's kind of what you're doing, And I was doing it because I'm a single parent. I was like, I feel bad you don't have a dad here. So I'm like, yes, because they go to school and the kids are like, well, my mommy and my daddy bought me this. Well, she's gonna have that too.
I think it's a matter of teaching our kids.
Not the only one.
Not at all.
I think it's a matter of teaching our kids the difference between an asset and a liability.
There we go.
Yes, I love that.
We're so taught on giving them stuff, but we're not teaching them what's an asset and what's a liability. And if we just taught them that, often we forget about the parable in the Bible that says, give a man a fish, eat for a day, teach a man how to fish, and eat forever. So that's the concept that we need to be teaching our children, so they can pass that generational wealth on, so they can teach them how to fish, how to make $1, how to have good work ethic, how to have good principles and good morals and values that will last a lifetime. Those type of values go on and on and on for generations to come, because that money, that items that you're buying for them will go away. But those principles and those values that you instill in them about money and how to value money and how to accumulate money will last a lifetime, and it'll be passed on for generation and generation to come.
That's really good.
Absolutely.
That's really good.
And the thing about children, culturally, when they turn 18, what do we say?
Yep.
Now
You're on your own.
Right? Right?
No more Christmas.
Our culture does that. The other cultures don't.
They don't.
You see the other cultures,
don't.
they live with their parents it's not
Absolutely.
embarrassing to live past 18
Absolutely.
with your parents. It's not embarrassing to stay in a situation where grandma lives upstairs and you live down, however they
A
work
lot of
it.
minority families live like that.
Yeah.
Cultures from outside the United
Well,
States.
third world countries do. Yeah.
They live and they build each other's wealth that way.
Yes.
So like you might have
They
5 or
build
6
wealth
families
together.
living in one
Same
house
thing.
and they're
Yeah.
all
They build
building
them,
a nest egg.
But we
And-
don't do that. As soon as they turn 18, we want to cut them loose. So when we talk about student loans, what you do, it makes me think about that because I had student loans. I know I did. But the reason I did is because my parents were like, okay, well, you got scholarship opportunities. This is what you got for scholarships. The rest is on you. You're grown now. And so that's why I said when my child turns 18, our conversations are different.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave immediately.
Right.
You do have credit. You have good credit now. And he is learning real estate. So he will get his license to do that also as another
Good.
stream of
Good.
income. However, as 18, I'm not telling him you got to pay for college all by yourself.
Right.
It's my job to help you with that. I don't want to start you in debt.
Yes.
So, it's
like you were
hard,
saying,
but
if you want to be able to help your children,
Yeah.
besides that, how do we evaluate our finances now? Like,
tell 'em how we do
if
it.
that is my goal, if I'm, endeavoring to be able to assist my child past 18,
Yes.
how do I give me some tips on how I can evaluate my current
Okay.
situation to be prepared to do something like that?
In lieu of that question, we have to realize that most people don't plan to fail. People just simply fail to plan. They
Yes.
don't plan.
Right.
It's not that they plan to fail, they just simply didn't have a plan. And a plan is a method to get to a common goal or a goal. And so if you establish a plan, it will get you there. So the first thing that a lot of people are afraid to make is an evaluation or a budget. If you evaluate your finances and find out where your expenses, where your income is coming in at, you'll know where everything is going. And once you start doing that and take little steps, to dissect little pieces off of, let's say, going out to eat, maybe not spending as much on food. Did you realize that the U.S. Department of the USDA says that the average household spends $600 to $1,200 on food?
Per what? Per month?
Per month. So it's a major expense. And so if we could curb that down or trim the fat a little bit on things that we're spending on and not have so much expenses or lavish expenses, trim down going out to eat,
Ooh, God, that
and
scares
make
me.
minor details, you'll be able to save a little bit. Well, when you ask, how do you save a little bit when there's nothing left? Well, you've got to ask yourself, how much of your paycheck is going to you? You make 100% paycheck, but how much of that paycheck are you paying to you and your family?
good.
So the first rule of making money is to pay yourself first. So the goal should be for everybody to pay yourself first. If you make 100% or $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, whatever that 100% is, how much of that is going towards your future? Not my future, your future. And how much you putting towards savings? And if there's nothing left, it's because we've mismanaged how we approach that. We let Uncle Sam take our money out first. Before we get paid, they take their money out. Why do they do that? Because they know if they wait till the end of the year, they're not going to get paid. The money's not going to be there. So they take their money out automatically. So we should do the same thing. If you plan to save for yourself and save and plan for your future, you should take the money out automatically, have it automatically taken out, whether it be in the military government allotment, automatic withdrawal, any type of advice to help you
freeze
save.
you right there.
Yes,
Freeze
ma'am.
in time. We're
Okay.
going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to have all of our guests give different planning strategies on how we can teach our children at an early age how to prepare for college so that they're not in debt. They don't have to have credit card debt and loan debts. So we're just going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Overcomers Talk. If you missed the first half, shame on you. But let me give you a brief recap. So we're talking about financial planning and overcoming debt. And so what our professionals have taught us so far is that the same way that there's generational wealth, there's also generational debt.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so now what we're going to do is they're going to just teach us some common strategies that the average person can use. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to come from wealth to be able to apply the strategies that they're going to teach us now.
Okay.
Okay.
It's me again. Okay. So I will say that Carrie Ann asked me to give my testimony about financial freedom, or I guess history of where I came to where I am now. I did tell you that I've been a realtor for about 1.5 years. And a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh, you're new in the game, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. The real estate is based on transactions. It's not based on years. So you have some realtors that have been doing real estate for 5 years and they've closed 5 houses or 10 houses in a year. So they've done 50 transactions. So this year alone, I've done 56. So with that being said, I started real estate literally with no money in my bank account. Nothing. I had nothing. 2019, I had my daughter in 2018, fought her dad for custody, thousands out of my savings. I didn't have anything left. I had blood clots in my lungs, no health insurance. And it was a really scary situation. And I said, okay, well, I've really always wanted to do real estate. And I feel like, I hate to say this, but it was like a do or die. I had no choice but to succeed, right? And so I went to real estate school. And while I'm there, they tell you, well, you can't just be realistic with yourself. You know, you're not going to make 6 figures your first year. But as long as you can kind of make ends meet, you know, you'll survive. You get through your first year, you'll be okay. So I was like, all right, look, I was doing hair, had a salon. My salon was successful, but the problem was that with you having a child and you leave, your clients get nervous if you're coming back. So I'm struggling to keep those clients to come back, and then I can't work a full day because I can't breathe. So I was having a lot of things to overcome, right? And so I decided, let's do or die. Let's do it. I got my license. My thought process was, if I sell one house, I will be able to at least cover a couple thousand, which will help me, right, to get where I need to be. And so when I started, that was really my mentality. And ended 2019, I had sold 2 homes, and I was like, okay, I made a couple $1,000s. You know, I was happy. You know, start 2019, January hit. I made my first $1 million in real estate in 1 month. And so going from that to this month, I've closed $14 million in real estate. So with that being said, in no money 2019 to I've made over $300,000 this year. So with that being said, I'm still a single mama, and my life has changed from, you know, Curve perfume to Creed. So, you know, it's been an adjustment. Honestly, my biggest weakness that I would say is that I wasn't used to having money. So I didn't know what to do with this much money. I was like, so I can just buy that. Like, I'm just going to go get it. Okay. So what this has taught me is not just, I have succeeded because my purpose was greater than my weaknesses. That's basically what it was. And now I get to teach other people what I do. So I love to mentor other people that are wanting to go into real estate and to teach other people, because I want to see more people of color advance. I want to see more of us that are worried about a tax bracket. Okay. With that being said, you want to buy a house. A lot of people come to me and they say, I really want a house, but I don't have $15,000 saved, so I know I can't do it now. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need all of that. Military, of course, you do have your veterans loan, so you have no down payment. But aside from that, there's plenty of civilians that need a home. You have FHA loans. You have USDA loans. We live in an area where you can go right outside the city limits and use a USDA loan, which is also zero down payment, like a VA loan. Yes, you have first-time home buyer programs. You don't have to have that much money in your bank account. You need to cover an inspection that's going to run you about $300. You need to cover earnest money that's going to run you about $500, and option money, which is going to run you about $75 to $100. After that, you need to have like $2,000 sitting in that account so that the lenders can say, hey, she can save 2,000 or he can save 2,000. You don't need that much money. There's so many programs available to you. When you have the right realtor, I fight for my clients. Even the ones that come to me and their stories are, you know, I've been divorced, this, I don't know, I've never thought I could have. I've been renting for 20 years. Do you know how many mortgages you paid off for other people in that amount of time? It's mind-boggling. So my goal is empowerment. And so when you say I want to buy a house, I'm gonna say, okay, are you ready to ride this journey with me? Okay. I am literally, my moniker is your real estate sidekick because I go from beginning to the end, all the way through. But the thing is, in order to make it, you got to step out on faith. You have to say, look, at least I know I have not been missing any of my payments, right? All my credit card payments have been paid. My car payments been paid. Okay. Don't come to me and you know darn well you just had a late payment last month. I can't help you. But what I can do is advise you. And I can tell you, go call Sharon. Because, you know, Sharon is going to be able to say, look, your credit is not quite where we need you to be. And then Bruce is going to say, look, this is how we stay on track. So my job is to help facilitate the purchase of a home and to not lie to you. I am very transparent, almost too transparent at times, I feel. But sometimes you need that. You need somebody to be that mama, because as adults, who are we accountable to?
Exactly.
Right? We're not accountable to anybody, really. And if you're an entrepreneur, you really think you're not accountable to anybody, you know? But we really are accountable to our clients, and we're accountable to ourselves and our children if we have children. So we owe it to them to try to give them an opportunity to have a house to live in and a roof over their head. And so for me, my goal is to be able to purchase not just my own home, but another home to give to my son and another home to give to my daughter. My situation personally, I do not get child support for my daughter's father like I'm supposed to. So if I were to sit there and say, oh, I got to rely on this, we would all be sitting here. What do we know? You have to figure out what's going to work for you. If you are renting right now and you pay over $800 a month, you need to call me. Because I can make sure that you have a mortgage that equates to that $800.
Say that again. Hold on.
Yes. If you are renting right now and you pay over $800 a month in rent, you need to call me. My number is real easy, 254-312-1100. Okay, please call me. And the thing is, I want to show you the way. We may not have a yes immediately. Sometimes it's going to be a not right now, but it's never a no. It's just a not right now. So if you're willing to work with me, you work with Sharon, and I will tell you the truth. We can't do this for this month, but give me to June. And in fact, let's talk to some of these builders, because you can build a house without paying a mortgage on it till it's done. So let's start that now. You have the basic credit to show them that you can do it, right? So let's start building this house now. By the time you close, you will be where you need to be. So it's a matter of finding the right realtor and the right lenders. And with what I do, if I talk to you and Sharice says, hey, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I had a couple charge-offs. I'm going to say, okay, this lender is not going to work for you. Every lender looks at a different FICO model, okay? So this lender might say charge-offs mean I cannot give you any money because you don't pay your bills. The other lender is going to say, well, they don't owe it anymore. So since they don't owe it anymore, I can lend to them. So depending upon your situation, don't lie to your realtor, because I'm going to help you to the right lender. But if you tell me the truth, I'll guide your path as much as possible. But every lender looks at something different. So don't feel like, you know what, I got divorced. I have $20,000 in debt from that. You know, have you been paying consistently on that debt? Yes, I have. Well, guess what? Your income could override that debt. You could be married to someone who has bad credit, but you have better credit. We don't have to put them on the loan. In Texas, they will still be on the house. So there's a lot of different ways to move things around to make sure that it's advantageous to you as a consumer. But for me, I look at you more as family, because my clients, we ride this together. If I hear a no, my heart hurts. If I have an offer that I put in that's not accepted, I'm calling them and asking them why. It's not my money. I want to know, tell me why they didn't get the offer. And they're telling me, you know, this is what's going on. Sometimes it is, you know, I have to say, hey, Bruce, you know, for example, you know, this is a situation. If we could do this a little bit different, let's hit this back up in 90 days and let's see what we can do. Sharon is a lifesaver, because credit repair saves my life. I'm able to say, hey, look, I'm going to work with her. She's going to keep me updated. And when you're ready and your credit score is ready, we're going to go forward. You know, most lenders are accepting you at 600. You do not have to have a 700 credit score. Don't wait until your credit score and Credit Karma is 700 to call me. Get that 6 and call me.
Miss Erica, you've given us so much information.
Sorry.
I'm in information overload. I don't know about anyone else. But you heard what she said. If you're paying more than $800 for rent, then you need to definitely give her a call because she can put you at least on the path to home ownership.
Absolutely.
Now, my friend, give us some practical application
before we begin,
of how we can plan financially.
Can we give Ms. Price a round of applause?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yes.
You for that. I mean, what a tremendous accomplishment. You know, she's sitting here talking like that's just an easy feat.
Right.
You got people that have been in the business for a long time that haven't got to $1 million.
Right.
And you've done that over.
I wear my jeans every day. Y'all know I'm a down girl. I'm down.
Well, that says a lot to you. It says a lot about your ambition.
Yeah.
You know, it says that you've let your ambition exceed your talent because you've only been in the industry for a year, but you let the ambition, the drive that you have, force you to go out and make it happen.
Yes.
And I think that's what a lot of us need to do is just make it happen. You know, sometimes we have to get mad about things. And when you get mad, you get upset. When you get upset, you'll make something happen.
Yes.
And sometimes it just takes a little bit of, you just got to get upset. You got to get angry. And you got to force yourself to go out and step out on a limb to try new things. I mean, this woman has stepped out and become a realtor and outproduced most of the realtors in this area.
Wow.
To sit here and say that she's sold over 14 million in revenue. She made somebody a lot of money, including herself. But you got to give to get. And who cares if their cut is fat, as long as your cut is fat. You know, a lot of times when you talk about finances, the Social Security Administration says that we have to have $250,000 cash to retire. Well, I mean, for a lot of people, it's like, wow, I don't see myself having $250,000 sitting in a bank account somewhere. But if you start early enough, you can achieve that goal. How early should you start?
What does that look like?
What does that look like? Well, it comes to starting early. Well, for the average 19, 20, 25-year-old soldier or person, it's hard to see age 65 at 19 years old.
Right.
So if you could save for 5 years of your life and stop, never save again, save about $3 to $5 a day. That would get you there.
Oh, wow.
Saving $3 to $5 a day, well, $3 times 30 days, that's $90 to $100 a month. $5 is $150 a month. If I could save $150 a month, $75 every 2 weeks, I could have $250,000 or more, depending on how long and how much I save. That's just saving for 5 years of your life and stop. Put it into an investment plan that's going to compound and allow compounding interest to affect your money. Well, again, we don't know enough about finances to even understand that interest affects your money. So if you don't understand how interest works, we normally hear about paying back interest, not earning interest. So paying back interest, well, you know, 10, 15% doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're earning 10 or 15%, that's a lot of interest on your money. I mean, the banks, anybody know what a regular passbook checkings or savings account is paying?
A what?
Passbook checkings or savings account, regular checking account.
I don't even know what that means.
They're not paying,
little to nothing.
It's like
they're paying
1.1
less
or
than
something.
1%.
Yeah, it's little to nothing.
Yeah, I feel
So
like a house is your best savings.
What you do is you take 72 and you use a formula called the banking rule of 72. You take 72, you divide it by your interest rate. The answer will tell you how long it takes your money to double. That means if I'm earning 4%, 72 divided by 4, well, the answer is 18. That means it would take my money 18 years to double at 4%.
Wow.
Well, did anybody know what government bonds are paying right now? They were paying 4%, and now they're paying about 2.5%.
Wow.
So 72 divided by 2 would be 36 years. That means it would take your money 36 years or longer to double at the bank. You've got to find something that's going to give you more interest so your money can grow and compound. Well, that's why a lot of people invest in mutual funds or the stock market, because typically to get more interest, you got to have more risk or more exposure, more cash involved. And sometimes that risk is not what everybody wants. We don't want to expose to the risk. So just finding a plan that would give you an accumulation of 2% guarantee with other investments that are going to give you the other interest rate to give you, you know, a 5 or 6 or 7% interest in today's market is very, very positive. I mean, you can't get a CD where you got to tie up $1,000 or $300 or $5,000 at a bank and they lock it up and you can't touch it for 6 months to a year and they're giving you 1%. Well, again, let's do the math. 72 divided by 1 is 72. that means it would take $1,000 again, or in that CD, 72 years to double, and the banks aren't even giving you 1%. So you've got to find a vehicle that's going to get you a high rate of return so your money can grow and compound.
Right.
I've said a mouthful.
Well, I don't want you to stop, but I want you to speak to the late bloomer.
I will.
The late bloomer, the one who doesn't have a lot of money in the bank, may have maybe a couple hundred in the bank, maybe a single parent, maybe a married family with children. How do they start? Well, from today, they're watching and they want to start planning for the future. So when 2021 comes in, what should it look like for them?
To start would be to start small, because a lot of people have never saved before. So you can't do something you've never done before. So in order to, the definition of insanity is to keep doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. Yeah. If you never save for retirement, if you never save for your future, you can't expect to just jump in because you never did it before. So maybe it might take starting off slow, doing something that you can afford, systematically coming out of your paycheck.
Like maybe saving $100
saving $100, right? Every 2 weeks or a month, if it takes that. Whatever it takes, though. And once you start a plan, it's not a matter of having a plan, but sticking to the plan is the hard part. Is sticking to the plan. So you want something that's going to automatically take it out of your account every month. If you can get like an index universal life policy that's going to give you interest off of the index. Do you guys know what the indexes are? They are like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones. Those are indexes. Well, instead of picking one fund, you can have your universal life policy, index universal life policy, earning interest off of the index. Well, the index has averaged typically about 12% over the last 40, 50 years. So when we talk about not just picking one stock, but the whole index, the S&P 500. That's the top 500 companies in the country.
Bruce, his experience is
Paul
talking
Bruce,
about that.
Paul Bruce.
I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished yet.
But you have to break it down so that the average person can understand.
Okay.
I don't know much about stocks and interest rates and life insurance and all that.
Okay.
But I want my 2021 not to look like my 2020. I want it to look better. So I'm trying to find practical steps that I can take now.
Well, let me see, did I hear it? Because Bruce, you're saying even though savings account may not be our end goal, it could be a very good starting point.
Right.
Because if you never started, maybe just even, and it sounds like you're saying make sure something you can afford, because if I start off, because I've got motivated from this show, and now I start off saying I'm going to save $200 every paycheck, but if I can't afford it, I'm going in there. So is it to be affordable if I got to start small, like you said, 50? Is that doable?
Start slow. And again, a lot of people think saving money is put it in the bank and then take it out. That's not saving money. That's saving it. That's a delayed spending account. Saving money is saving money where you can't touch it. And so you want to put it into an account or into a plan where you can't get to it right away. You have access to it, but just not right away. And allow your money time to grow, because that's what you have on your side right now. So you have time to allow your money to compound with the right amount of interest and double to meet where you're trying to go to later. But everybody's life is different. Different ages, different plans. So in essence, it might take a little bit more for somebody that's older than somebody that's 30 years old, because the Social Security Administration says that by the time you're 30 years old, you should have a year's salary. And then by the time you're 35, you should have 2 years' salary. So if you make $25,000 a year, you should have $25,000 in the bank by the time you're 30. And by the time you're 35, 50, and by the time you're 40, you should have $75,000. Well, for a lot of people, they don't have excess money. But it's just about being disciplined. It's about finding strategies. One way could be to change your W-4 on your taxes. At your job.
And someone taught me that a long time ago.
At your job, If you got a big income tax coming back every year, it's because you're paying in too much. You overpaid your taxes. So change your W-4. Go to your job. Tell them you want to change your W-4 to a higher number or a lesser number. And that would increase the amount that they're taking out. So why let Uncle Sam take the money out, hold the money for you for a whole year, and then give the money back to you, or a portion of the money back to you at the end of the year, when you can have that money now and put it into an investment account right now for your future. So let's talk about planning for your future for coming out of Christmas. By the time I talk to people, it's already too late. They've already either they're in disarray because they've disappointed themselves. They haven't been able to keep their health commitments, their healthy food commitments, their going to the gym commitment, or their budget commitment. So just start slow. Find something that's going to help you get a little bit, take a little bit out of your paycheck every month so that you can meet the goal that you have to acquire the lifestyle that you want to live one day. If anybody wants to reach me, you can reach me at 254-334-3665 or bruceagency1@gmail.com. bruceagency, the number 1, @gmail.com. And we can get you taken care of with a plan to get you on the right track to become a millionaire one day, hopefully.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that information.
Yes.
And I'll definitely be getting in contact
Yes.
with you for investments
Yes.
because that's something that I want to just go a little bit further with
Yes, ma'am.
investments. So
Yes.
we'll definitely talk. So Ms. Sharon,
Hey, y'all.
give us some
I'm just-
practical tips
Yes.
on repairing our credit, saving money, and protecting our credit.
Yes.
That's it. Well, guys, I mean, we've heard so much from both Arica and from Bruce. And, you know, I come in, my process is really where you start. So
Right.
you're going to get it backwards today. So before you even begin to get into the market to want to buy a home or put stuff into retirement plans or planning out your future, you need to make sure that you are financially sound and ready now. How do you do that? You obtain a credit report for yourself and see where you are credit wise. Credit makes up a big part of our financial structure, right? Because the stronger your credit is, the more opportunity that's available to you. You know, the less interest you'll have to pay. Like Bruce said earlier, interest is good. And we want interest to be good when we say interest, right? We don't want to pay interest out of the, you know,
Coming to us.
right. We want it to come back to us. So
Right.
we don't want to be paying outrageous interest. How do we keep interest down? By having a better credit profile.
So how do we check our credit?
So there's many different ways you can. A lot of people are familiar with Credit Karma. I'm not a fan of Credit Karma because that model is the Vantage model, and a lot of industries does not use the Vantage model.
Oh,
They use the
wow.
FICO score. So
Okay.
you want
Yeah,
to
FICO.
look for your FICO score, okay? The FICO model that's typically being used right now is FICO 3.0.
I didn't know that was a Vantage model.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it
It'll
is a
always be
Vantage
higher.
score, and it's going to be higher than what your FICO is. So understanding that, you could pull your credit report off of annualcreditreport.com. It gives you one free one per year. There's also Identity IQ, which also generates your credit report for you, as well as monitoring services. So let's say, for instance, you know, like Equifax, Experian, of course, TransUnion, you could go directly to them and pull your reports. What happens if you use Identity IQ is they monitor all 3 of your scores as well as alert you to any changes that you may have. I personally love Identity IQ because of that alert reason. I mean, as soon as something hits your credit, you are alerted. If somebody's trying to use your credit, you are alerted. And so part of building your credit is also protecting your credit. Okay. So once we build and we know our score and we look at where we fall, you know, on the chart, we know the higher your score is, the better things work for you, right? The lower, the more struggles you kind of have. So then you formulate a plan. So we're in December, right? We're at the end of the year. So what do we do going into the new year to prepare ourselves to be homeowners, to prepare ourselves to set up our retirement and become financially sound all the way around? We analyze our situation. We research and we find credit companies or credit repair that you could do on your own if you want to repair on your own. There are several groups out, and I don't discourage anyone from wanting to do it on your own because you may not have the money to give to a repair company, and it's something that you may want to do because you don't want to give your personal information out, and we are very aware of that. With me personally, though, I do love working with clients, and one of the things that I offer as my service is credit counseling, where I sit with you. If you tell me that you want to do credit repair, you want to learn it on your own and fix your own credit, I sit with you. I teach you everything I know in an hour meeting, and I get crash course, right?
Right.
And then I give you about 5 templates to leave with. The templates are going to be your round 1 dispute that you want to send to all 3 bureaus, you know, depending on what your credit circumstances is. That is the benefit of having someone to do it with you. That is the benefit of a credit repair company like Family First. It's just you have support in doing it. If you choose to do it yourself, there's a umpteenth, there's so many, there's so many groups on Facebook that you can join that gives you the same information, okay? So once you get into your mind that you want to repair, you want to fix, you identify what it is that is on your report that's not correct, you formulate that plan, you attack it, and then boom, now you have stuff that has been deleted. sometimes your score goes up. Everybody does not have the same results. So you may be talking to your friend and they went to a person and their score shot up 100 points, but you tried and you went to someone else and yours only went up about 30 points, right? That's normal because we don't know what was reporting on their credit. So understanding the items that are on your credit is also part of that, repair process. Moving along. So from there, once you identify and you know your score either goes up or down, it's time to build on what we fixed, right? So look into those self-lender accounts, open a secured credit card, go to your bank and see if they have options that are available for you to help you build credit. And I also do
secured credit card.
I was about to say, can you explain that?
Yes, so a secured credit card, right? So when we say secured, what that means is that you put a deposit, right? So let's say sometimes it's $200 you could pay. You're sending your money, $200, and that becomes your credit limit. And it secures you because there's not an outrageous APR, annual rate. Most of them don't have an annual fee. There are some that do have that annual fee, but it secures because you can never go over your limit and put yourself into debt. You know what I mean? Well, let me back up a little bit. When we're explaining why it's important to understand what a secured card is versus a regular credit card is because credit utilization damages your credit at 35%. So that makes up 35% of your credit. Wow. So meaning that is one of the biggest chunks of things that can affect your credit. So that's why it's important.
What if you have no credit? What if you don't have credit?
You have to build.
Yeah. And that's what secured.
That's what self, and I recommend self, and I was speaking with Arca earlier, and she said she also sends her people to self. If you need that boost and you need to build a credit file, self-lender, what it is you pay into it, you pick your plan. You could be a 12-month, 6-month, whatever you decide. You pay into that every month on time. It reports to all 3 credit bureaus. So now it looks like you have a loan taken out, and that's how I report. It looks like a loan, and it says you're paying that loan off every month. But all it is your own money. But that's not even the kicker. At the end of your term, you get that money back, minus the fees that they charge for holding your money. And it's not that much. So those are some things that you could do to build up that credit file, right?
Because it looks like you paid off a loan. And since it looks like you paid off a loan, that's going to report as a positive transaction on your credit report because even though it's your money that you deposited into the bank that secured that card,
it says that it literally shows on your credit report and it says like self-loan. It literally says like a loan.
Your credit score rise from that.
And it boosts. And that's why as you pay every month that you pay on time, you get that credit boost. So for the ones that don't have any credit whatsoever, you say, I never wanted to deal with credit. That is a good tool for you to have along with a secured credit card because like I said, the secured, you determine your limit. If you want a $500 limit, you put $500 in. And it reports positively
every
for you.
month.
Sharon, can I say something too? Because like you said, I think you're just dispelling a big myth too. Like sometimes people are afraid to use credit because we weren't necessarily taught how to handle it, or maybe you've mishandled it. And so they do come with, I don't want credit cards. I don't want, but you're saying, no, you still need credit. You might need to be taught how to handle it, but it does carry much weight when you're trying to buy a house or when you're trying to do some other things. So talk to us a little bit about why you do need a credit profile.
You absolutely. You need a credit profile because guess what? When it's time for you to purchase that house that you want, what do you think that the lenders are looking for? They look at your responsibility. Are you responsible enough to pay? Right. You know what I mean? How are we going to determine that we want to give you this loan for this big amount? Right. How do we know that? When you go for your car, you're going out here, you're buying some people want Jags or BMWs or Benzes,
proof.
It shows proof. So it's it shows that you are worth us giving you this money and not necessarily you could be a millionaire, right? And have $1 million at hand, but that doesn't mean nothing when it comes to the lenders. That means nothing because I need to see what you're able to do. Just because you have $1 million, that doesn't mean anything. I need to see it. So it's just creating that paper trail that shows that you are responsible with your spending. That way, when you do go to get a mortgage, you get the best terms that are available out there. And like I said, the stronger your credit profile is, the more your terms are going to be more feasible, where you're not getting ate up by interest, the equity of your home is not lost before you even make make way with your payments and stuff like that.
Fair Credit Reporting Act allows us to dispute anything that's on your credit.
Yes.
And most people don't realize that you can dispute anything. Anybody
if your
can
name
dispute
is
it.
wrong, if your date of birth, if your address is incorrect.
We don't even dispute anything.
Yeah.
But creditors will put things on your credit report and you can dispute it. They don't question it at all. And they just allow it to go on your credit. but we can dispute it, and we don't do it, even though it's an entitlement that we have.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know what that means. Like, when dispute, like I could
Right.
tell them they're wrong.
Right.
Yes, if you look at your credit and you notice something that's on there that you know for a fact that you didn't do,
Right.
or something is reporting inaccurately, you know you paid more than what they're reporting, or you disputed something before and they put it back on without providing you proof. Those are all reasons to get those items removed off your credit. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is the key that we use to be able to work on your behalf and have results that we have, is because we understand what that
Right.
means. So what that means is they have to report 100% accurately, not 99, not 99.5.
You can dispute
If
it.
it's even 0.1
Yeah.
off, we can dispute that
And
off.
what
and get
about
you,
like a rapid rescore? Can you do a
Yes.
rapid rescore to get a property?
Yep.
yes, they can. That means you'll get a new score
A
within,
new
what,
credit
24
score
hours,
Yep.
right?
within 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you can do
Yeah.
what's called a rapid rescore when you're trying to buy a home.
Yep.
If your credit's been jacked up,
You can
and
pay off
then-
that credit card real quick,
and-
and then we can approve you.
We have definitely learned a lot
So you-
today.
so you're-
Yes, we
you're-
have.
And I know the information that our professionals are giving, it may seem like it's over your head or it may seem complicated, but it's really not. Once you get an understanding on your finances and once you get an understanding on your credit and things
Right.
like that, it won't seem so stressful and so frustrating.
Right.
I thank all of you for being here today. And Ms. Sharon, also give your information so that they can
Yes.
contact you when they need to get their credit repaired.
Yes, awesome. I can be reached. I have my email is sharon.watkins@ff, that is F as in Frank, creditservices.com, or by phone 346-978-7347. And for all the viewers that watch this, I have a special discount for you guys. So if you mention the show, mention that you saw me on this talk, then I have a special for you guys.
Uh-oh.
Overcomers is the promo code.
Listen.
Overcomers is the promo code.
Right.
Right.
That's good.
No,
Promo
because I
code
want you guys to take, coming into the New
Right.
Year's, I want everybody
Right.
to put
Most
it into a vision. You know, if you could know what you're working with coming into January, by December, you could be in a house. You can be,
Yes.
you know, we can reach out to Erica. Erica, I got a couple for you that are ready to go,
Right.
and vice versa, and get you into that home.
This has been phenomenal.
Yes,
For
very
me.
insightful,
Yes.
very practical tips. You know, we
Yes.
certainly appreciate you all taking some time out of your
Yes.
schedule to join us this evening.
Absolutely.
The information has been extremely valuable, and we are confident that our viewers will be in contact with you
Yes.
all to move forward with their financial plans for this upcoming year.
Awesome.
Don't let your 2021 look like your 2020.
Exactly.
You know, 2020
Amen.
with COVID,
Right.
it put us in a lot of different situations, but these professionals are teaching you, can teach you how you can overcome the pandemic and all the financial stressors that the pandemic has put upon our finances. So thank you again for watching Overcomers Talk. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.